recovery literacy. Introduction to recovery residents in the U.S., a social model recovery. While some of these are self-paced, content will be covered in a virtual classroom. Most of it will not. So we encourage you to complete those courses and let us know if you have any questions about the content and challenges accessing it, or challenges accessing it. I'm sorry. So these are kind of some things that you can do on your, own time. This Ohio Recovery Housing, ORH, received a grant to make this training available to you by the Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services Board. They are who sponsors us, so we can make this possible and, strengthen the house manager in the recovery homes as a whole, all together. Collaboration is a big part of Ohio Recovery Housing, and we are collaborated with, this training with Ohio Recovery Housing and Recovery People, which administer the Texas Recovery Oriented Housing Network, ORH, and TROHN, our sister organizations under the National Alliance for Recovery Residences. So it's kind of just, us and then the West Coast kind of forming together to create one. Facilitators for this cohort is myself, Amber Boldman, and Angela Regan. She is on here if you want to say hello, Angela.
Hi guys, thank you for coming.
We also have support staff, Lisa out in Texas, and John that is here in Ohio. If you want to say hello.
Hi everybody, it's great to see you in this training. If you could help me out, if you're looking at your name and it's something that I don't recognize from the roster, go ahead and change it, and getting everybody sorted and signed in today. But we're really glad to have you all here.
Thanks everybody for joining in, and let's have a good discussion.
So let's cover a little housekeeping. First of all, this training is designed to reflect and specifically social model recovery principles. This includes self-care. We're committed to taking a short halftime break. Give yourself a chance to take a break, a breather, your brain relax. There's going to be a lot of information throughout these courses and throughout the day. Ask some questions that you have and don't feel comfortable asking, while we're all here, whatever that may be. We just ask that you please come back at the designated time. We don't want to start without you, and there's a lot of information, and we don't want you to miss out on any of this good information. We've also created a parking lot where we can capture questions and ideas that we might not be able to cover that day or in that specific moment. So we'll throw it in the parking lot, and then we can readdress it at a later time. Maybe at the very end of the day's session, or come back to it later on throughout the cohort weeks at the end. We do welcome a lot of engagement. Please feel free to engage and ask questions and, get your thoughts out there. You can enter your thoughts or your questions into the group chat. You are absolutely welcome to unmute yourself at any time. Zoom also offers us icon functions, thumbs up, hand raise, all those great things. We understand that you may need to step away from the class We just ask that you let us know by entering into the chat, be right back, or, you know, I gotta step out for a moment. We understand that some of you guys are working while we're trying to, you know, further our learning for the house manager stuff. So if you need to step out, please just let us know so Lisa has a good idea of, you know, who is here and who is not. We welcome you to use your video. While there are numerous reasons why you may not choose to have your video on, you are more than welcome to do so. But if you would like to not, we also respect that as well. Feel free and finally, I will let you know that we are recording these sessions. So they are available for if somebody cannot log in and they have to miss a session, they're able to still be sent, you know, the class for the day and review it so they can know what was going on. So the following week, they'll be able to, you know, pick up where we left off and be on the same page as us. So that's why we are recording these sessions as well. Does anybody have any questions so far?
I put a question in the chat about the curriculum address. Could we put that in the chat again?
The curriculum address? What do you mean by that?
She said that the recovery house manager had a curriculum. It was ed.ohio recovery. I didn't get the rest of it.
Oh, for the self-paced classes?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
can do that
What's your
later.
question about the self-paced courses? You need a link to them?
Yeah, that's what she's asking.
Okay. I'll get back to you. For the purposes, you know, of this session right now, you can do them. They're self-paced, so you can do them when it's meets your schedule, and I'll get back to you on that.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Whoops. Sorry. So, okay. Not the best at this. I apologize. That's enough about the staff in the course. We want to learn about you as individuals and the community. We invite you to co-create a word cloud and Mentimeter by answering 2 questions. What do you want to learn from this class, and what can you offer to this class? Lisa, is this the
Yeah, I
part
can
that
hear
you
the
wanted to take
Mentimeter.
over on? Perfect.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and share. Let me grab the participation link. Okay, so if you click that link in the chat, that'll should allow you to vote and submit your input on this. Let me share this screen here. Okay, so first question is, what do you want to learn from this class? And if you click the Mentimeter link in the chat, then that should allow you to open up a page where you can vote, and your answers will appear here. Is anybody having trouble opening up the link?
Yeah, I can't open it.
Okay. Oh, there we go. We got some answers coming up. You can also go to www.menti.com and then input this code up top here, the 58615488. So we got some answers, best practices, communication, crisis management, self-care, engagement, social mentoring, fairness, best practices, support, success ideas, motivational interviewing. Yeah, these are I see best practices in communication are really big ones. So as more people answer certain answers, they become bigger on the board. Yeah, authority, how to practice healthy authority is really huge. Right, so, and I'm seeing in the chat, somebody said boundaries, how to set boundaries while still being able to do all this other stuff, the supporting and the mentoring is really important. Awesome stuff. All right, and then we can go on to the next slide here. Oh wait, we still have some stuff coming in. Right, so seeing the biggest ones are support management, crisis management, best practices, communication, and self-care. Somebody wrote in the chat, as a house manager, I'd like to learn as much as I can to be of maximum service to my clients, right? Because everybody's, in here has some experiential or a lot of experiential knowledge of how to do this work. But through this, we're able to, come together and support each other and sharing our knowledge and finding out, what works the easier way through getting it through training versus having to learn through all those hard knocks of just learning it on the job. Empowerment and positivity, I really like that. Tips, ideas, something that can help further your recovery house management practice and make it better, right?
Expectations. I like that one. That's a good one. What to expect, but that's going to go along with your organization as well too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And learning what other organizations are doing, in the way that they manage expectations, right? Okay, let's move on to the next one. What can you offer to members of this class?
You guys got a lot to offer. There you go. Fresh perspective.
Fresh perspective. Yep. Somebody said in the chat, experience on the addiction part.
There we go. Shared experiences. Yes.
Ideas, support. You can network and be there for each other, exchange your contact information, and stay in touch after this and continue to support each other. Insights, inquisitive minds, bringing your questions and your curiosity to this really helps make it a better learning experience for everybody, because when you voice the things you're thinking about, somebody else might have that in the back of their head and not be the one to speak up. So definitely speak up and share your ideas and share what you have. Some people wrote hope in the chat. Self-care ideas, resource ideas, mental health treatment, AOD experience. What's AOD?
Alcohol and drug.
Alcohol and drug, okay.
Or other drugs, I believe.
Alcohol and other drugs.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah. Strength, experience, motivational interviewing, support to a new person, time, 6 years of experience, self-care ideas, personal experience. Yeah, so I see knowledge, support, and experience are all really big on this, you know, so we can come here to gain knowledge and also share knowledge. And then our collective knowledge gets bigger and stronger and more diverse, the more we can open up and listen to others. And this is probably the, 7th time that I've gone through supporting this training. And it's really cool to see that these ideas that were developed by recovery house managers in the 70s are still holding true and becoming more, more meaningful as the practice grows of recovery house management. Awesome. Ways to stay calm. I definitely want that.
Definitely.
Being able to stay calm in the face of whatever happens. All right, awesome. Amber, do you want to take it back over?
All right. Those are all really great thoughts and ideas and goals that we are here to accomplish. So I hope that you guys can take all those things out from this training. All right, recovery housing. So this is our first topic today, is recovery housing. And before we can understand recovery housing managers, we need to understand where we live and where we work. So what is recovery housing? So we are going to go through the breakdown. Wait, this is not right?
You're also not sharing your screen anymore after I shared.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me fix that. I apologize.
Do you want me to share my screen, Amber, and you can just go with your notes? Okay, gotcha. Oh, there you go.
I got it. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
One of these times I'll get it together, maybe next week.
Stay warm.
Right. Alrighty, so recovery housing. And so we want to know and understand exactly what, recovery housing is. And before we can, I'm trying to share my video. Sorry. There we go. Technology is not my strongest suit, guys. I apologize. So before we can, get the idea of how to be a house manager, we need to understand what recovery housing is. Does anybody have any first thoughts on what a recovery house is? Jessica.
Unlike a treatment center, recovery housing supports all different types of recovery, whichever it is that they choose, like whatever their path is.
Perfect, good. So we're going to do an exercise here. Meet your teammates or housemates. 30-second introductions real quick. And name, organization, city, and a phrase that you would like to use to welcome a new resident. Recovery homes are a living environment that cultivates a sense of community amongst residents who share similar recovery goals. In this class, we will want to mirror a recovery housing environment by cultivating a sense of community within these breakout groups. You can think of your fellow breakout group members as your teammates or your housemates. To that effect, we invite you to participate in a Zoom breakout exercise that we are going to, the link is down here below, and Lisa will separate you into that breakout group.
And you can't click on the slides, but if you go into the chat, the breakout link is there for you to click on. So what's going to happen is open up those slides first, because once you go into your breakout groups, you won't be able to find them. And then somebody can open up those slides and share their screen so that everybody else can work on the exercise together. And you're going to be separated into red group and purple group. And red group works on the red group slides and purple group works on the purple group slides.
And if you guys want to go ahead and pick somebody to record everything in the Google Docs and then somebody to report it, when we come back from the break, you guys are welcome to do that too.
So before we send you to your Zoom breakout group, like Lisa said, go into the chat and get that link to go into the Google Docs. How many minutes do you think this would take? Maybe about 5-10 minutes, 5 minutes?
See what the suggested amount of time is for it. Let's see. Want to say
What do I do? Just click on the link and that's it?
yeah, you click on the link and then you'll be separated into breakout groups. Yeah, and then so it's a pretty big group, so we could probably take the 15 minutes for it to get to know
Okay.
everybody. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So any questions before you get sent to your groups? All right, see you back here in 15 minutes.
I can start with the red team because I was in there for the majority of the time. If you want me to, Amber, and then you can
Yeah,
do
go
the-
ahead, Angela. That would be
Okay.
great.
Okay, we had Betsy
forget the-
Anderson from Women for Recovery, Serenity Grove, and Athens. And
Hold on a second. Yeah, Amber, at the top of your screen, you got the tab that says B1 Cohort 4. If you click that, that's where the slides are. Yeah. And if you want to scroll down to where the red team is.
there we go.
Okay. Perfect.
And the next slide, Amber, you could take over now. There you go.
So yeah, Angela, do you want to present for group two?
Sure.
Okay.
We had Betsy Anderson from Serenity Grove in Athens. We had Kayla Browning from Community Housing of Dark, Miami, and Shelby counties. And we had Rachel Justice from Men's House of Hope, Chris Fox from ARC Recovery Services, Ristiana, I hope I'm saying that right again, Women's House of Hope, Shalonda Green from Mommy and Me, right, Shalonda? I think they were mixed up
Yes.
before.
Yes.
And then Kevin with Lighthouse, and Misty Hendricks with let's go, it's kind of jumbled there, Tool NC. I'm not really sure that's kind of like a typo, I believe.
Yeah.
But I know Heather's with Briarmost Foundation, I'm sorry, in Cleveland, and Melissa Anderson is with ARC Recovery Services in Akron. And the phrases that they came up with were, most of them were welcome home, welcome to the facility, welcome to the family, and give yourself a break.
Nice. Those are all great phrases to use when welcoming a new resident. My favorite is always welcome home, or you're not alone anymore, kind of along those lines. But I really do like the welcome home, just so everybody knows that they are at home now and they have a family and they don't ever have to feel like they are not a part of something.
To the purple.
Oh, that's
That's-
the next breakout. I apologize.
It's gonna be on the one of the first slides, I believe.
Scroll up,
Amber.
that's where the purple's gonna be.
Oh, yeah, slide
Gotcha,
4.
gotcha. Okay.
So it looks like answers were kind of spread out off over a few of the slides here. Does somebody want from the purple group want to present and talk about what you guys talked about?
I will, I guess. So we named our house the Hope House. Oh, I'm echoing. Okay. And I don't know if you could skip to the next slide. So we did our own introductions. I don't think a lot of them got added into the actual text, but some of our phrases were welcome home, welcome to a new way of life, welcome, I'm glad you're here. We have people from Lighthouse Marion, OOWH New Richmond, Broadway Recovery Services, IBH Recovery Center, and Day One Integrative. And then there were a lot of others, but we didn't get it all in there. We went to the next slide because of time. And the one up above, yeah. Words we describe a house manager's role would be welcoming, humble, advocate, redirectable, resilient. And what does not describe a manager would be controlling, ego-driven. I think that one was going to be self-centered. There was a lot of conversation, so.
Good. Perfect. So that was,
That's as far as we got.
was, utilized so everybody can get to know one another and figure out, where they are. We're gonna, throughout the session, we'll be doing multiple breakout groups, and your groups will be the same. So that group of people that you broke out with today is gonna be the same group that you work with throughout these sessions. So you can get more familiar and more comfortable sharing with one another and coming up with your own recovery house in a certain aspect. I think that is one of our objectives here. So let me go back.
Hello. Hi.
Yes.
Yeah, I was never able to communicate with anybody in my group. My name's Tony Mann. I am from IBH Recovery Center in Akron, Ohio. So I need to be able to make sure that however the communications were going on, I never was able to figure that out. So if we're going to be with the same group of people, I'm going to need some assistance in being able to communicate with you guys when we do this.
So, but okay, Anthony, you broke out into your group, right?
Yes, and once that happened, I was never able to communicate. If you look back in the slide, I was trying to type and say, hey, I'm over
I see
here.
that. I was wondering what that was
Yeah.
about. I did see that you can't. Did you try to unmute yourself? Now you're muted again.
Anthony, you're on mute right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
back out. Okay.
Were you having any trouble unmuting when you were in your group?
Yeah, well, I did not see this was not available to me once we broke into the groups. When we broke into the little groups, this over here, was not available.
You weren't able to find your mute button?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that yeah, we can, if you stick around on the break, we can try to work it out for you.
Yeah, please.
Find a solution.
I was over here, I'm a little lost.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
sorry that happened for you.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll work the bugs out, right?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, so moving forward, looking across the United States, the National Alliance for Recovery Residents identified 4 types of recovery residents. which they call the 4 levels of support. One way you can distinguish between the different level of support is by looking at what type of service they bundle as a whole. So there is level 1, 2, 3, and 4. As this graphic reveals, it will show all the recovery residents provided alcohol and drug-free living environment, and all of them provide a social model of support. This includes peer specialist services, life skill development. Level 4s are considered licensed residential in all states because they provide clinical services within the home. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. So the social model recovery describes a socio-cultural element that builds recovery capital by empowering hope and self-efficiency. In psychology, self-sufficiency is an individual belief in their capacity to act in the way necessary to reach each specific goal. So, being productive members of society and being in recovery. Social module also fosters connection, mutual aid, and reciprocal responsibility. This helps rebalancing social reward systems in the brain as well. So once we start, feeling good and, making connections in, the community and achieving recovery goals and achieving life goals, something clicks in our brain and we actually start to feel good about ourselves and about life again. So the recovery home gives a person the foundation to be able to do so. In the 1990s, Dr. Casutas developed a social module philosophy scale to access the degree to which programs were using social module principles. The scale identifies 6 domains which we have adapted for these trainings, and they include leadership roles, home and family-like environments, experimental, credentialed, governance, recovery-oriented, and community-oriented. The sociocultural element that builds recovery capital by empowering hope and self-sufficiency, fostering connection, mutual aid, and rebalancing social reward system. I already said that, sorry. So this is the kind of, in retrospect, this is the model of the recovery home and what the purpose of it is.
If I could say something real quick about recovery capital, you guys all know what that is, right? Like when you have something that's basically capital in your recovery, you have education, you have a home, you have, certain things that add to your capital when you're in recovery. I just wanted to add that. Not a lot of people knew. I just kind of learned it a couple years ago. So,
and
Thank you.
yeah, I wanted to add in as well. So yeah, we're going to go into depth on all of these throughout the whole of this training, and what you can do as a recovery house manager to build social model recovery in your homes. So from leadership roles, the way that you are as a leader in your home, it creates a way for all of your residents to learn how to lead and learn how to lead each other, and be leaders in their own life and take accountability for their own life. The same way that when you go into the recovery meetings and they encourage you to get a sponsor, the way that your sponsor acts is the way that you're going to learn how to model those same things in your life, and that goes on in the home. when we focus on what we do to create a home-like and a family-like environment, that gives that sense of security that residents need in order to feel safe, in order to grow in their recovery, and to replace that, the kind of community they had out there using with a new kind of family, the one that's safe and supportive for them. In three, experientially credentialed, and some people might, be familiar with what that means. It refers to lived experience in recovery as being the credential, the thing that qualifies us in order to teach one another, versus having to go to school and learn a bunch of medical terms. We use our own experience in order to teach about recovery and to build collective recovery experience and learn how to do that from each other. In governance, we learn about how to build a shared sense of the rules of the home within the home, versus having to dictate that from the top down, like I'm in charge, you're the subordinate, right? And build more of like a collective sense of governance in the home. And then being recovery oriented and community oriented, we're going to be looking at how to make the environment of the home built around being in recovery and the way of life of recovery, and make the environment around being a community versus just a place where roommates get together. So I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of overview of what we're going to be getting into over the next 6 weeks.
Thanks, Lisa. So we are approaching the top of the hour. So right now would be a good time to do the 10-minute break. So we will start a 10-minute break, and let's say, what, 3:10, be back by?
Yeah,
3:07.
Oh, yeah, 3:07.
Okay.
Good.
So 3:07, we'll take a break and come on back at 3:07, guys.
And if you could, don't log out of Zooms, just stay logged in and turn yourself on mute or something. And that way I won't have to resort you into breakout groups when you come back.
All right.
Okay, looks like everybody's back.
Welcome back, you guys. Does we have a reporter for the red group? Looks like you guys got some really good answers.
I can do it.
Thank you.
Do I just start reading it?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, what words describe the house manager's role? To make sure roles are in place and followed. Dependable, accountable, fair, humble, consistent, flexible, leads by example, supervises, organized, passionate and compassionate, models recovery and understanding.
Yes, those are all excellent answers. Thank you.
And
Now,
then
what words do not describe the house manager's role?
that would be selfish, self-centered, rude, inconsistent, unfair, controlling, does not model recovery, playing favorites, break rules, himself, herself, dishonest, babysitter, mom or dad, counselor, personal assistant for residents, house cleaner.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now, do we have a volunteer for the purple group?
I'll go ahead and do it.
Thank you.
For what words describe the house manager's role, they're welcoming, humble, they're an advocate, redirectable, resilient, setting an example, role model, leadership, resourceful, compassionate, empathetic, patience and tolerance, linkage to resources, encouragement, positive reinforcement or feedback, a negotiator, de-escalation and mediator, a guide, they cultivate recovery environment, and they're an organizer. What words
Excellent.
do not describe the house manager's role? Controlling, ego-driven, self-centered, dictator, enforcer, judgmental, mom or dad, house cleaner, babysitter, medic, therapist, favoritism, and discrimination.
Both groups picked you're not a house cleaner. That's a good one, because often, we don't want to enable, our residents to, or enable our residents. They need to learn how to do things themselves and be accountable, and cleaning up after themselves is part of that. And babysitters, we're not babysitters. We're not here to police them. What else we have here? Self-centered. We need to be empathetic. We need to, understand. And this kind of goes back to the experiential credentials, or the experience, the lived experience, the shared experience that we have, and being able to communicate with these residents, because it does go a long way. And let's see, welcoming. Everybody picked welcoming for their phrase, or most everybody. Be able to negotiate. I love it. Thank you so much, Purple Team. All right, guys. Let's see. All right, so we kind of talked about what the things that they were and they weren't, but here's some other things that maybe weren't mentioned. Things that they are: they're mentors, peer leaders, role models, adjudicators, servant leaders, facilitators, arbitrators, community organizers. Sometimes you're going to have to get out into the community and help, with the resources as a housing manager. Be a guide, a tour guide, even, for not only the house, but also, the community, if they're new to the community. And they are the head of the household, for the most part, in that, in the house, in that recovery setting. Anybody think of anything else that neither team mentioned, or that's not mentioned here, that you guys are?
I would like to say something about the servant leaders.
Uh-huh.
They would have to be trained as servant leadership to be a servant leader, because that's on a whole different level,
Okay.
a service, because even though that they are being a service, some people don't know what it truly means to be a servant leader,
Okay, thank you.
I would also say an advocate.
Advocate, yes. Very good. We do need to advocate for, our residents, and make sure that they're getting what they need, and that they know, where, like the tour guide, sometimes there's things that you wear, many hats that you'll find. But now the things that they aren't, again, are some things we didn't mention. I'm on the wrong side here. There we go. Sponsors. We can't be the sponsors, right? You can't be the house manager and be on a personal level and be their sponsor for AA and A. And we talked about that we're not the maids, we're not nurses, we're not clinicians, we're not a pharmacy, and money management. We help our residents, or we can get them set up with like training at the banks, or if they need help getting, a checking account set up, but we don't manage their money. They need to be accountable for their own money, and responsible for their own money, and, pay their bills and pay their, whatever else they need to pay. We'll help them with budgets and things, but, we don't manage their money, so to speak. We're not their mom or their dad. We're not friends, that's a fine line. And I personally, I struggle with it. But we can't be their friends and, help them on their journey through recovery, basically. And we're not counselors. That's clinicians, which would be the level 3 and the level 4. Anybody else got things that they're not? Or you guys aren't? You're jogging your memory a little bit.
Between midnight and morning. So I go to trouble, come body all the way to.
I think you got a TV on in your background or something, so I'm going to go ahead and mute you unless you got something you want to add.
Anybody else? I heard somebody speaking up. It was a TV, Lisa. All right. So let's talk a little bit about adaptive leadership. Let's see, okay. Okay, so depending on your organization, we talked about this, you know, the terminology and the language is going to change from organization to organization. And so are the types of leadership roles that you're going to take on as a housing manager. You have directive, consultative, and democratic and consensus. Now, directive is going to be basically, let's see, like a top-down non-negotiation approach. Like these are the policies, these are the rules, you know, you can't negotiate anything with it. This is what it is. The consultative is basically, well, you know, let's talk about this. What do you think should be done? What do you're consulting with the resident or you know, your group about the decision that's going to be made. Democratic, you know, obviously we know that that's going to be voted on like a democracy. Everybody votes and, you know, the majority wins. Now, consensus is going to be a little bit different. It's just everybody has to agree, kind of like a jury. Everybody has to agree. Every member has to agree on yes or no, basically. So what would be the pros and cons of a directive approach? So we're going to do some case studies here in a second, but can you guys think of anything of the pros and the cons of any four of these? Are you guys familiar with these? Sometimes you have to adapt to the different, you know, you might use all of these actually at some point. It's not to say that one's right or one's wrong. I mean, you probably will, you know, use, you know, 2 or 3 of them.
I would say that they all are in play depending on the circumstance and the situation that you're faced with. Some, like if you're dealing with somebody that's violating the rules, then you have to be directive. You know, you got to be direct with them. But like if say we want to have a cookout and we need to agree upon, you know, certain meals and everything, then we need to have a consensus. You know, so yeah.
Excellent, excellent, very good. Anybody else? All right, moving right along to our case study. Okay, so a former resident donates $500 to the house. So which strategy would be used to best just decide how to best spend it? Would you use directive, consultative, democratic, or consensus? You guys can mute yourself or you can type it in the chat.
I think C.
C, democratic, so you vote on it, okay?
Yeah.
So so is this a donation to the house itself, to the residents, to the organization? You know, there's a lot of questions.
Right. Let's say it's a level 1.
A level 1, okay. Well, even level 1s are nonprofits. So if a person is donating $500 and is expecting to get a write-off, then they would want to have, you know, so they just have to recognize that.
Right. We're a level 2. So, I mean, yeah, it would not be voted on how money is spent in the house. I think that might be with more like a level 1. Because normally it does go to the organization. You're right. And it's a tax write for the people that are giving it. And the organization, it does need that. And then, the residents don't always get to choose how it's spent.
I'll chime in. The board of directors would absolutely, you'd be under, like our auditor, we're a level 2. And so any money that comes to the organization I can't just, it's to the organization, which is a nonprofit, which is operating under a local board, which is operating under an auditor. So yeah, there's a lot to that.
Yeah. I think maybe this, like I said, let's just consider it's a level 1 that it's just democratically ran by like an Oxford house, and it's just the residents and they're paying their bills and they're collecting their rent from each other, things like that. But yeah, you guys are absolutely right though. Yeah, it would go to the organization and we have auditors and things like that. So very good answers, guys.
A lot of good points are being brought up in one thing I wanted to point out is that you can really choose the style of decision making to best cultivate social model. So definitely, if you have the opportunity to use D or C to build consensus or vote on it democratically, that it's a good opportunity. But yes, if your organization's policies limit that, then you have to go by your organization's policies first. But different kinds of homes are going to be run under different financial structures.
Right. Yeah, that would be nice if we had like a, set it in your budget where they could vote on or come to a consensus on how to spend a certain amount every year, something like that.
Or a certain amount every month, because it'll help empower the your clients or residents that, oh, I gotta, that gives them a sense of voice. It helps build rapport amongst the fellas too. So, or your residents, should I say.
I like the term empower. That's the first time I think I've heard empower, but I think that's important in this environment.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. All right, next case study. A resident brings in a loaded gun. What strategy would you decide to use how do you respond to this? Which leadership style?
I would say directive.
I agree, directive.
Without a doubt, directive. After you call the
I
police.
agree.
Anybody else? Anybody think B, C, or D? Does anybody think, well, hey, let me talk to you about this? I mean, why did you bring this gun? You want to consult with them, or you want to have everybody vote? Or maybe everybody's got to come into agreement that a gun needs to leave.
You had one person answer in the chat, B, saying someone acting alone, going with A could create a dangerous situation. B would allow some people to consult with each other and come up with the safest, best possible way to resolve. It, probably depends on the context, but
right.
it could be a very time sensitive thing. This could be an emergency where as the house manager, you have to step in and act immediately. Whereas, somebody brought in their hunting gun or something, that might be a
right. Or let's just say a weapon, any kind of weapon.
Yeah, because if most organizations have it in their enrollment, it'd be chosen to their house or whatever, that no weapons on, no weapons of any kind. So that
right. So that would, yeah.
Be a red flag.
Okay. Good answers, guys. See, number 3. A resident is taking a nutritional supplement you've never heard of before. What strategy would you use in this situation? What do you guys think?
If you're speaking from the house manager, they would have to be consultative to the organization, ask them what are their policies on certain substances, such as the whatever they take.
The supplements, yes.
Yes, because a lot of supplements mimic drugs and some drugs. So
yeah,
I
great.
think a lot of people answer B in the chat. And that's what we have in the notes here, consultative, you don't necessarily want it to be a democratic thing amongst the members of the house, because they might not know. There are certain supplements that are you're able to go buy online or go get in a health food store, but they can still get you high. So it's important to kind of seek more information and find out exactly what it is.
Anybody else? Okay, case study number 4. So a resident that has moved out 6 months ago is now wanting to come back. What strategy would you use in this case?
Democratic.
Oh, no.
Nice.
I would have to say directive, because I don't know what they've been doing while they was out there 6 months.
Right, if it's in your policy, absolutely, yes.
I would have to do a urine test and all that to make sure. You know, they would have to get a urine test to make sure that they're okay to come in.
Right.
I would have to do it. Yeah, I would choose A.
I would say you also have to look at a
And you can make sure
consensus.
that, you know, everybody in the house has to come to an agreement, has to come to a consensus on this. If, you know, I mean, because they're the ones going to be essentially living with this person. There's no right or wrong answer to this. I mean, if it's in your policies, it would be A, you know, you could consult with this person, you could vote on it, or you could come to a consensus. These are all good answers. Anybody else that want to add anything?
We have a number of different answers in the chat.
Okay.
You know, some say it's, you know, up for the structure of the organization, it's up to the foundation that they're beholden to. Some are saying A or C, or B or C, or A and B. So it's very context dependent, and it's good to think about what kinds of leadership style that you can use, you know, what were the circumstances when this person moved out, are any of the people that currently in the home there when that person left, and why, you know, so that might all play into your decision. And yeah, so depends on the move out also. How did the move out go? Was it over a relapse? You know, was it sudden? Did they still owe money to the house? You know, all these kinds of things.
So as you guys can see, I mean, you just did this. I mean, you have to adapt depending on the situation. And these are the different kinds of styles that you will be using. And it sounds like that you guys have used a lot of them already. And with any situation, you could use several or all four, but some of them you only will use, you know, one. But you have to adapt to this situation. And everybody's going to be different. Like our program is holistic to meet the women that we serve. And, you know, no woman is the same. You know, everybody's going to be different. So the rules, I mean, the rules are the rules, but sometimes, you know, different. I mean, I don't approach everybody the same, basically. You use these different leadership styles and you adapt to each person, each resident. So, anybody else have anything to add? All right. So oops. So let's do a summary real quick. The directive is the top-down no negotiation. It's the policies. The rules can't be broken. We can't bend them. And that, I mean, it's in frustration for everybody. Everybody's is disengaged. You feel like, you know, the authority, like us versus them, basically. The consultative is inputs requested. The manager decides, and you draw upon others, the expertise of other people in the house or your staff. And it requires clear expectations. Now, the democratic is the members process their options and vote on it. And it generates active participation. And this is where the social model really comes into play, where everybody's involved, basically. And it sets clear rules up front. And then the consensus is collectively develops a decision. And everybody's committed on that too. And it's a social model and everybody's involved, but it needs a facilitator, and it takes time for everybody to come to an agreement. So you guys ready to go back into your groups?
Up on the top of the hour here. So really you'll just be going into the breakout group, and then there won't really be any time to report out. But you're going to be going to, for purple group, it's going to be slide 7, and for red group, it's going to be slide 12. You'll have a chance to design your recovery home. So you're going to answer what you should name your recovery home, what color or style is it going to be in, what do you do for fun in the home, what are the rules of the house. You can kind of design your virtual recovery home space for your breakout group. We'll have about 7 minutes for this exercise, and then we'll be done for the day. Does anybody have any questions before we go to that?
And then we'll just report on it when we come back next week.
Mhm.
Right, Lisa?
Okay. See y'all guys. I guess like when you get back for the group, then we'll be ready to disband for the day. Okay, looks like everybody's back. So yeah, I hope you guys had fun with that exercise. We're at the top of the hour now, so it's time to get going. But we'll review next week what you guys did as far as setting up your houses and get started on session 2. So great job, everybody. Really appreciate all the participation, and looking forward to the rest of this cohort.
Have a great week, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good week. See you
Bye.
next time. Thank you. Okay.
Looks like let's see. Amber dropped off. Does anybody have any questions hanging out, or just don't know how to exit the Zoom room?